from the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 6, streaming now.
Coronavirus cases are still high in Indiana, causing a lot of concern. We break down the latest numbers and what they mean.
I have always liked reading a lot, and so this was an exciting project for me to be able to help people that don't know how to read yet get to that point.
A student and educator team up to help kids with dyslexia improve reading during COVID-19. The gap, they say, they are trying to fill. Early voting lines were so long this weekend, people waited for hours to vote, especially in Marion County. We are finding out what is being done to cut down on those wait times.
I'm really nervous. I don't really know what to expect.
Working to answer some of the most commonly asked questions by voters so you feel ready and prepared heading to the polls.
More rain in the forecast. Some of it may be heavy. I'll let you know when, and will it impact Halloween? The answer is coming up.
And welcome into the news at 6 on WRTV. I'm Amanda Starantino. First, new COVID-19 cases are still extremely high in the state, not really slowing down. The Indiana Department of Health reports 2,009 additional cases of the coronavirus. More than 164,500 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with COVID-19 since the pandemic began. The state also confirms 13 additional deaths. So far, a total of 3,907 people in Indiana have died with the coronavirus. And as of yesterday, 1,634 Hoosiers were hospitalized either with COVID-19 or similar symptoms that could turn out to be the coronavirus. That is actually lower than Friday and Saturday's hospitalizations. However, until the past few days, the state had not had 1,600 people hospitalized at one time with COVID since April. 1 in 5 people suffer from dyslexia, with many schools moving to virtual learning. Students with disabilities have been hit especially hard during the pandemic. WRTV's Stephanie Wade shares a special story about how an educator and a student are now helping thousands of dyslexic learners across the country.
As a mother of 2 dyslexic children, Nadine Gilkison has spent years looking for ways to help her kids learn better.
I quickly discovered that there is very much an inequity. If you are someone who has the means, you can get private tutoring and so on for your children. And of course, the educator in me, I started rapidly thinking of, well, what about if you don't have those things?
The Franklin Township Schools Technology Integration Supervisor, in charge of all e-learning, Gilkison wanted to make sure kids, especially from low-income and non-English speaking families, could access the tools and resources they needed while learning from home.
I was trying to figure out how an app could be created, and a couple of the teachers in my district reached out and said, you need to talk to Braden Gogus.
I actually started making apps while I was still in elementary school.
One might call a coding genius. She and 11th grader Braden Gogus set out to create an app called Blending Board.
The app has to be free. Are you willing to do this work for free? And he was totally on board with that. And I truly can't thank him enough.
I mean, I was really excited about it because I remember a lot of the teachers that I'm going to be helping with this. So it's like the teachers that I loved, I get to give a little back to.
The app helps students with dyslexia sound out syllables and improve reading through what's called a blending board using stacks of cards.
So if you're doing a Zoom call or a Google Meet, then an instructor can actually pull up the app and be rapidly going through the blending board with the child when they're doing a small group situation.
Braden then came up with the idea of adding a QR code that parents can scan and practice the deck of cards at home as well.
I know as of last week, we were at over 250,000 downloads, and the app's only been around for a couple of weeks.
The school dropout rate for dyslexic students is 35%. Many also struggle from depression. With this new app, the two hope to make crucial resources accessible to everyone. Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
And this app is for all ages and grade levels. If you go to dyslexicmindset.com, there are numerous other free sources as well. And CNN reports that Dr. Anthony Fauci said over the weekend that experts will know by either the end of November or early December whether a potential COVID vaccine is effective and safe. Dr. Fauci also said the potential doses available in December won't be enough to vaccinate everyone. He says we'll have to wait several months into 2021 for enough doses for everyone. And we are here to help you get through this pandemic. Everything from CDC guidelines for Halloween, personal finance tips, what you can do to safely enjoy Thanksgiving this year, and how you can protect your health. That's up right now on WRTV.com/coronavirus. Well, this sums up the day in central Indiana. Gloomy, not much sunshine breaking through, and now we're dealing with some rain. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is here with our forecast. Hey, Kevin.
Look at it this way, Amanda. Every day is a gray day for me. Okay, we will get some sunshine later in the week, probably Wednesday, and that's a dry day and an important one. We'll get to that more in a second. Cool all week. Temperature won't change. We're stuck in the 40s right now. Mainly light rain northern half of the state, a little steadier, heavier south of Indy this evening. The widespread heavier rain potential arrives Thursday. There's the shower activity, the light greens and of the light rain, and then southwest of Terre Haute, a little heavier precipitation. You can see our rain chances diminish after about 10 o'clock from Indy west. I think it'll take a little longer for those of you to the east and southeast. 45 degrees right now. Temperatures do not change much as we go through midnight tonight, still stuck in the mid 40s. We'll talk about the change that arrives, why we expect the heavier rain Thursday, and look into the weekend coming up.
Democracy 2020, we are now learning more than 1 million Hoosiers have voted early ahead of Election Day on November 3rd. Lines have been long since early voting began earlier this month. In fact, over the weekend, many people had to wait hours to cast their ballot. More than 1,094,000 people in Indiana have voted early so far. This is according to numbers from the Secretary of State's office compiled by the U.S. Elections Project. The total number of votes cast so far is equal to 39% of the final presidential vote in Indiana in 2016. Early voting runs through November 2nd, and again, Election Day is November 3rd. In Marion County, polling places were so busy this weekend, many people waited more than a few hours to vote. Troy Washington is live from the City County building to explain what the clerk's office is doing to cut down wait times and keep everyone safe. Troy.
I'll get to that, Amanda, but first I just want to let you guys know that there's a 50-minute wait here. And of course, if you are in this line come 7 p.m., you will be allowed to still vote. Now, what has changed? They've actually added polling machines, and that's made a big difference here. I talked to some voters who said that they could really feel the difference.
And the gentleman that just left said he waited about an hour and 30 minutes. But we're moving along pretty rapidly. We've been here for about 15 minutes.
Danielle Moore says she'll take this wait over the 8-hour wait she heard about over the weekend.
I'm willing to wait because it gives us an opportunity to make a difference in our community.
Morris is bringing her daughter Delaney to vote for the very first time, while Steven Simpson made a plan to stand in line today.
I work a day shift, so I took the day off to come in, just to come to vote. I've heard long lines. I've heard you get here early, it's shorter.
He was surprised to find that the wait wasn't as bad as he expected downtown at the City County building.
They're telling us about an hour and 15 minutes.
According to the Marion County Clerk's office, the 8-hour wait times were a result of crowds of voters arriving to polling places before doors opened.
Last year, I waited 4 hours just to vote.
Emma Kriechmeyer says she noticed it's a timing thing. She explains that this morning she noticed a long, winding line.
Yeah, see people.
After class, she came back and the line was moving right along.
And I was like a little bit hesitant, but as soon as I got back from class, I saw that it was shorter.
Sean Simpson got in line at the perfect time, too.
Today was my last day here. I live out of town now, and I'm from Indianapolis, and I haven't registered, where I live now, so might as well just strike by the iron sight.
Now we are pressing the clerk's office to kind of figure out how many machines they actually put in, but they're telling us that they have to be careful about putting in more machines because they have to make sure that they're following COVID-19 restrictions so that everyone can stay safe during this time. Reporting live downtown, I'm Troy Washington, WRTV.
Thanks, Troy. WRTV is working to make sure you are prepared when you head to the polls. We are getting answers to some of the most commonly asked questions when it comes to the process of voting. Megan Sanctorum has more on what you need to know as you make your voice heard.
All of these voters are waiting in line to cast their ballot and make their voices heard. Most came prepared, knowing who they're going to vote for, but some still have questions about the process and their individual ballot.
I'm really nervous. I don't really know what to expect on the ballot, kind of where the things will be located.
This is Emma Edwards' first time voting.
Where I put the ballot when I'm done, where I get things, how exactly I fill it out, because I don't want to fill it out wrong.
She's not the only one with questions.
I do see where some voters have questions on how to insert the blank paper ballot into the voting machine. Some voters have questions on whether they should keep hitting next.
They also have staff members on hand ready to answer any questions you might have, like are there rules on who you can vote for?
You do not have to vote a straight party. Basically, a voter can vote however he or she wants. A voter can select straight party, or if they can skip that race and individually select each candidate from each political party.
And what if you make a mistake?
The express vote machine allows you to go back, so you can press the back button and you can change a selection.
The clerk's office says they're also getting a lot of questions on the judicial retention section of the ballot.
They don't exactly know, whether to vote yes or no.
The clerk's office recommends you print a sample ballot online and do your research at home so you come prepared and help keep the line moving because there's no time limit at the polls.
Voters are trying to research those candidates on their phones, and so that does add to some of the wait times that other voters are experiencing because voters are in the booth a little bit longer than they normally would be.
And lastly, if you want to document your experience,
they can take a ballot selfie, they can take a picture of their ballot. Voters have freedom as long as they are not capturing the votes of another voter.
And I hope my voice gets heard and that my vote counts.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
And we will put a link to a sample ballot that you can look at and download when you read this story on our website at WRTV.com. The candidates for governor will hold their second and final debate tomorrow night. As was the case in the first debate last week, the Indiana Debate Commission says Governor Eric Holcomb, Democratic challenger Dr. Woody Myers, and Libertarian candidate Donald Rainwater will each be in separate studios as a COVID-19 precaution. You can watch that one-hour debate at 7 o'clock tomorrow night at WRTV.com and on the WRTV Facebook page. You can also watch on the WRTV app and on your favorite streaming device such as Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, and Apple TV. And we have answers to all of your questions about voting and the general election. All the info about early voting plus profiles of the candidates on your ballot are at WRTV.com/election2020. It is expected that the United States will have a new Supreme Court justice just later this evening. The Senate is scheduled to hold a final confirmation vote for Notre Dame law professor Amy Coney Barrett tonight. The vote will likely be along party lines, meaning Barrett would become the next Supreme Court justice. Many Democrats object to the nomination so close to the election, especially since Republicans once blocked then-President Barack Obama's Supreme Court nominee right before the election 4 years ago. As of now, that final vote is scheduled for some time around 7 o'clock this evening. Kevin.
The national weather story, Hurricane Zeta will make landfall in the middle of the week. It will have an Indiana impact. We'll talk about that coming up.
IndyCar closes out its 2020 season with a thrilling race. Looking ahead to 2021, there's a new race on the schedule and some new drivers on the grid. I'm Brad Brown in St. Petersburg, Florida, with that story coming up on the news at 6.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 6, streaming now.
We'll look down to the Caribbean. Yucatan Peninsula is where Zeta will make landfall, then emerge again out into the Gulf of Mexico. This curves. Indications are we'll make landfall somewhere around New Orleans and turn northeast. That's one piece of the puzzle for our rain later in the week. There'll be another weather system that interacts with that has the potential to bring some heavier rain to the Hoosier State. All of this still subject to change just depending on the track of the storm system. But there is no doubt we are in the flow of weather systems now, getting plentiful rain. We're over 4 inches for the month of October. Notice I've jumped to Thursday at 7 a.m. Ongoing rain southern half of the state. It becomes widespread through the day, heavier Thursday night, then pulling away as we get to Friday morning, setting up what will be a dry Halloween and on Sunday. Rainfall potential less to the north right now, more to the south. Could be 2 inches plus from Indy south and 1 to 2 inches to the north, subject to change. So that could put us between 5 and 6 inches for the month. You see the rain a little bit heavier as it comes into Sullivan, also down to Vincennes, moving to the north and east. That's kind of the transition to the northwest of that area of rain. Temperatures are much cooler. We're stuck in the 40s, which is well below our average high of 62 degrees. Not much changes here next few days. We're in the 40s. Notice the 20s back into the Dakotas. It's in the teens where they have snow on the ground. In Colorado, Denver was 14 last hour. Tomorrow, 49. We make a nice jump as we have a dry day Wednesday. The wind kicks up, temperature around 51, and the rain becomes widespread on Thursday. Tomorrow's chances for rain 20 to 30%. We're guaranteed. Temperatures staying very cool. As you look at Thursday, the wind will become the story along with the rain. And as we move into the weekend, twin 56-degree high temperatures Saturday and on Sunday. Of course, Saturday, Halloween, full moon on a Saturday night, and you've got to flip the clock back. We fall back 1 hour as we go into Sunday. Temperature next week still with some sunshine at 57. So it's cool. That's the way it is. We're all cool, Amanda.
It's definitely a little chilly. Thanks, Kevin. Well, it's a season that almost never happened for IndyCar. After a delay of more than 3 months, they got on track this summer and yesterday put a wrap on 2020. Big plans and big names for IndyCar in 2021. WRTV's Brad Brown takes a closer look.
On the marina in downtown St. Petersburg, Florida, a picture-perfect setting for the final race of the 2020 IndyCar Series season. This saw Joseph Newgarden win the race and Scott Dixon clinch his 6th IndyCar Series championship. Quite the way to close out what has surely been a memorable year. You might remember back to the second week of March when we were here, when this was supposed to be the opening race of the 2020 season. The pandemic canceled it, and at one point we thought there would be no IndyCar racing at all. But a monumental effort by the series, the race promoters, the teams, these drivers, the sponsors, to put together a 14-race schedule that ultimately culminated with the championship won by Dixon here on Sunday. Looking ahead now to 2021, what is in store? Well, there's a new race on the calendar, some new drivers on the grid, and a lot more to keep the momentum toward the next green flag moving forward. As the sun sets on the 2020 IndyCar season, the focus turns toward 2021. There's a little bit of something old, something new on the schedule this year. It will once again be a true test of driving skill, with only the very best contending for the championship.
We kind of cut our teeth. Part of our DNA is ovals, but now street races are a big part of what we do. And they provide great branding, great exposure, international exposure for the cities where we have street races, and they turn into, as has been said, much more than races.
The biggest headline of the summer came from Nashville. The Music City Grand Prix will make its debut, featuring a street course that will not only go around the Tennessee Titans Stadium, but will race the bridge over the Cumberland River.
You know, Nashville's always going to provide great music. The food scene has gotten better. But to be able now to layer in the best drivers in the world, the best teams in the world, we can truly create something that moves the event needle in this town and state for the next 30 years.
We already see Nissan Stadium as a world-class sports and entertainment venue, but we believe there's a next level, and we're going to be working hard to achieve that next level over the next decade or so, and something like the Music City Grand Prix is just pitch perfect.
The IMS Road Course will get an encore show again. The pairing of IndyCar and NASCAR was largely a success this past 4th of July, so the two series will be teaming up for an epic weekend in mid-August.
I think people are excited about it only because they know that the Xfinity race was so good this year, so hopefully they think that'll carry over to the Cup side. And then, most importantly, having IndyCar and Cup and Xfinity at the same track on the same weekend, we're looking forward to that.
And don't look past new drivers on the grid. Australian Supercars champ Scott McLaughlin will be driving full-time for Team Penske. He made his debut Sunday in St. Pete. And 7-time NASCAR Series champion Jimmy Johnson is getting ready for his IndyCar debut. He'll be racing only on road and street courses with Chip Ganassi Racing. The 45-year-old will be a rookie once again in the IndyCar lineup.
We all do recognize that I have a very steep learning curve ahead of myself with new cars, tracks, people. So I think it's going to be a very steep learning curve for me to deal with. But I love a good challenge, and I'm really excited to start this next chapter in my motorsports career.
In case you're wondering, Johnson will indeed drive the number 48 car for Chip Ganassi Racing next season. Carvana was introduced this weekend as one of the primary sponsors for that car. Most of the teams that were here this weekend and some of the new drivers, Johnson expected to be among them, will begin their work for 2021 just a week from now. There'll be an IndyCar test session at Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama as the work starts to continue for this new season. And then it's just 4.5 months to the countdown to that new campaign. In fact, we'll be right back here in St. Pete, the season opener on the schedule for March 7th of 2021. Fingers crossed everything stays on the calendar and we can look forward to more exciting racing in the year ahead. In St. Petersburg, Florida, Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
from the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 6, streaming now.
Raining now and likely to continue through at least 10 p.m. in the western half of the state. Then it will start to taper off to the south and east of Indy, continues until midnight. Plan on another day in the 40s tomorrow. Temperatures will only about 48 or 49 with a slight chance of showers. Amanda?
Thanks, Kevin, and thank you for making WRTV your choice for news. World News Tonight with David Muir is next. Then join us again for the news at 7. We'll see you then.